Well, everyone, the time has come that I promised. Rebounders has dropped their new build, and I'm going to play it and give my review on it. Though, just a little disclaimer first, Rebounders claims to have released multiplayer with this build. I don't have evidence of that. I purposefully got up early in the morning. It's about 6 a.m. here, so I just didn't want to deal with anyone messing with me while I recorded this video. So, just fair warning there. I'm not displaying multiplayer capabilities here. I don't have proof of it working, nor is my video a representation of it not working. I got up at a time specifically to avoid people, so that's a simple explanation to why there is no one else playing. So we're just gonna do the thing I did before. I'm gonna scoot over here. Gameplay video will be here while I talk about everything that's been going on, the changes you're seeing, all the little itty-bitty details, how it's feeling, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, so let's get into it. So right off the bat, it's a lot more colorful than it originally was. Previously being dark blue and orange, now being a lighter blue and pink. I think it's fresh, though it is very bright on the eyes. Almost a little too bright, in my opinion. I think the orange and blue or a red and blue is, the classic staple. I think it should just stick to that. But whatever, creative decision. Something I want to comment on is even though the arena is bigger, it's widened out some, there are a lot more geos. Because of the a lot more geos, it actually feels much more cramped. This makes it almost worse for any 2v2 or 1v1 environment because it's just the way the geos are, the way they are so close to each other, it's going to turn it into a juke competition. It's going to be just that. And additionally, because of how cramped it is, this once again kind of paces away from the ability to be a good 3v3 or 4v4 mode just because there's too much shit. There's too much shit in the way. There's only so many places you can divvy up players without someone overlapping all the time, without two of your teammates being stuck in the same zone. And it's just like, well, I want more space, but that's not happening with this just due to how cramped the map is. Another little thing with the map that just slightly bothered me is the side windows on each side. They need to be more, or rather less, transparent as a window. They're too transparent. It's hard to tell where they start, where they end. Other than that, though, for the map, I think everything is generally fine. I think the goal might need to be shrunk down a little bit just so it's more reliable for goalies to cover goal, because it's already enough of a pain in the ass for goalies to cover the goal that's an echo. Making the goal bigger is just going to be more infuriating for anyone to play goalie. Moving on, though, the gameplay feels fine. It's not great. It's not bad. I still feel like the throwing is pretty flick heavy. It's just, I don't know, whatever system is being used, it feels very flick heavy, very dependent on wrist movement, still not very dependent on arm movement, which is very much so not what Echo was. Echo was primary arm movement, then wrist movement, if you really want to get nitpicky, primary body movement, then primary arm movement, then primary wrist movement, moving out from the primary player. Meanwhile, this feels very much so like it goes body, wrist, arm, which just doesn't feel right because when it comes to throwing, your motion comes first, then the arm, then the wrist. So that still just doesn't feel right to me. Along with that, I feel like the grabbing is also just still a little weird. When I push off of things, it doesn't feel quite right. I don't feel like I'm moving at the right speed I pushed off at. And that might be correlated to the wrist issue because I push off as if I'm pushing on a flat surface, not going like, nah. Yeah, that's about all for the actual gameplay. It feels okay. Once again, not great, not bad. It's just there. Onto the more graphical user interface things. They did add a menu, which I will do a little skip cut in the video to now to show you what that's like. Pops up with Toastery Studios and gives you the option to play or settings. When you go into settings, it gives you your classic options: input distance, release distance, wrist angle. You can go to the next page, do pitch, yaw, choose your speed for that, and then the final page which you might notice doesn't display at the top. It still says 2 of 3. Can enable dark mode. I prefer dark mode because I don't want to be flashbanged as soon as I put on the headset. But that's about all for the menu side of things. In-game, you might notice while I've been going around throwing the disc, there is now text showing on the shield. It does not retrieve the player name yet. It just says scored by player or scored by placeholder, but you know, it's better than nothing. It is reacting to the goal event, though I do hope that soon they do get the ability to fetch the player name and have that on the board. After scoring, I have noticed that the disc will always spawn on the pink side. For some reason, it always prefers to go pink side no matter which side you score. I tested it on both sides to be sure that this wasn't some kind of joust advantage, similar to how Echo does it, but whenever you score, it will go to pink side after a short period because you score, it does the point thing, it shows the shield text, and then it teleports back to center, but doesn't teleport to center, it teleports to the pink side, which is just weird. It feels like a simple fix, but I don't know if that was an attempt at a joust advantage that just got screwed up. Additionally, for user interface kind of player interaction, I don't know where to classify that in, but the players do have bodies and arms now, though they do feel a little small. Whenever I fully extend my arm, my hand starts levitating off of my body, so that I would just suggest scaling up a little bit. Granted, I am a larger than average guy, but I don't know, it feels weird to have my arms floating off of my body at all times. Especially because if the player models are too small, that'll create annoyances once again with this arena that is clearly built in a way that will encourage juke-heavy play. So if the bodies are too small, players won't be able to grab each other, stun each other, blah 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 blah. It'll make juking much more of a nuisance than it is known to be in Echo. Additionally, I seem to somehow break the game. I don't know how I did it. This was directly following the segment of pulling up the settings, but once I loaded back into the game, I could no longer score a goal. I can show it taking the disc, I just keep passing it back and forth through either goal. Neither of them are reacting to the fact that the disc is passing through them, so I'm not exactly sure how I managed to break that, but that is definitely a thing that I broke, and if it's easily replicatable, that would kind of break the game entirely because you can't score anything anymore. So that's something that should probably be looked into. But yeah, I don't really have anything else past those points. The game is looking like it's in good condition. Just a few small little tweaks making the arena feel more spacious by either less geos or shrinking the geos, scaling the player model a little up, not a ton, just to prevent that arm disconnection thing. Looking into that goal issue, that way things don't break constantly, because once again, that'll be horribly game breaking if it does. And then my suggestion is just to keep refining the throwing, because once again, the way Echo works is body movement, arm movement, then wrist movement. This still feels very body movement, wrist movement, then arm movement. So that's just another factor to keep in mind if the team at Rebounders is looking to make this feel most like Echo. But that'll be all from me. I will catch you all later. Bye-bye.